when you talk about personality disorders, what are you talking about? Just for the people listening.
I'm mostly talking about two, the most common ones that get talked about: borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder, being that there's two types. And usually the exhibitionist narcissist won't come to therapy or treatment or coaching, but unless it's they'll hire a coach to make more money, but they won't hire a coach to look within. But the covert narcissist will come to treatment. I've learned and studied enough now to know that people who have been diagnosed or informally, formally, whatever, with either one of those, covert narcissism or borderline personality disorder, can actually change with the right treatment and the right guidance and good, really, really effective skills from the therapist usually, or a couples therapist. But the work is slow, it's arduous, it's often confrontational, and folks with borderline are way more open to being challenged than a covert narcissist. So there's different things that we can, without getting off the track here, but those are the common ones.
How do you differentiate borderline from covert narcissism?
The trait they have both in common is that they lack a self, a coherent self. And that usually is developed between 0 and 8 years of age. And it's developed in relationship to often the mother, because the mother is often doing the primary caregiving in those early years. And the covert narcissist got kind of a mixed message of "you're special" and kind of "fuck you." And the borderline got the message that I am not separate from mother. I am the same. And whatever I do will impact her well-being. So I have to basically go along with everything that she's about. And I have to basically become her. We're sort of one fused, dyad here. And most mothers of borderline children are pretty sick themselves, and they usually have borderline. And they're just repeating this generational sort of cycle of handing this pattern down. And then these kids, grow up very disempowered and extremely difficult to be in relationship with. That's their hardest challenge. They can look very high functioning in business, very high functioning out in the world, but get them into an intimate relationship, and it's extremely hard for them, because the thing they have to do that they have to face is their what Masterson calls the abandonment depression. They have to understand that there was a tremendous loss in those first 3 years, face that, feel all the feelings associated with that, and basically make the developmental steps that they didn't make to become an empowered person. But that means that comes at the risk of losing a relationship with mother, so they don't want to do it. And then they project mother onto every therapist that they work with. So then their game becomes, I'll reject you before you reject me. And I'm not going to get empowered over here, because then you'll go away.
Interesting.
It's a trap.
So the template for relationship, that's especially intimate relationship, is if I step fully into my power, unconsciously, there's a deep fear that you'll leave me.
Yes.
So instead, what I'll do is I'll reject you first. I'll attack you first.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. And I'm sure there's lots of complexity to all that. I'm curious, when you think, because when I look at, let's say, someone in a relationship who is open to going to therapy, the covert narcissism, who's like open to it, but then is weaponizing spiritual language, personal growth language, therapeutic language, is that there's this really interesting, and I think of, like you were saying, someone who's anxiously attached / codependent, all the different language we use to identify those patterns of behavior. There's this hook that's in there that believes in the best of people and falls in love with potential, and also thinks it's their responsibility to usher everyone to their potential.
Yeah, you got it.
Meanwhile, like, life force is being siphoned from them.
Yeah.
And this other person's deep insecurity is actually unconsciously, because I don't think it's conscious generally unless they're a psychopath or a sociopath.
That's right.
But it's like unconsciously there's this absolute need to control and weaponize these skills in order to maintain attachment.
Yeah.
Like, and the self, as you said, there is no self, which I think is interesting in the sense that do you think that's why there seems to be almost zero capacity for shame in the covert or the narcissist in general.
Yeah, I think the shame is there, but it's well,
Yes,
in the
yeah.
exhibitionist narcissist, there's not much shame because the parent reinforced how great they are. They just did a lot of grandizing, like you're the best, you're so special, you're amazing, you can never do anything wrong. And so the child genuinely believes I'm the best, I can do no wrong, etc. But the covert person is like has deep fucking shame, and this huge wall around that shame to defend against it, because to again their journey is they have to self-actualize and take responsibility for feeling the shame, and then realizing how broken and fractured they feel as a self inside. And they don't want to do that because, again, of the consequences. Because if they get empowered in here, other people are going to go away. It's going to go really bad. They're going to get hurt. It's going to be traumatizing. So I will stay extremely defended, and I'll more or less use all these tools to make you wrong and to gaslight you and to make you crazy, essentially. So I don't have to do anything. And it is crazy making to be in a relationship with these people, which you would think that would be enough fucking fuel for someone to get out, but it's very hard because, as you know, these things are like lock and key, right? It's hard to leave these kind of relationships.
Hooks right into the wound of I'm broken of the partner.
Totally.
Right. So it's like the exploitation of that wound in order to avoid, as you were saying, navigate the shame of self.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's almost like you're just rubbing the wound in order, just like, don't make me look at me, you look at you.
Yeah.
Even my shit is your shit.
Which is why covert narcissists can be extremely aggressive, violent, just mean, super mean-spirited. You poke the bear in the wrong way, man, and they're going to get pretty hostile.